very much. Thank you very much, Can Corda. I just want to make a brief contribution on this debate as I'm coming from another meeting. And Minister, I appreciate that you took the opportunity on a number of occasions to meet with groups and individuals for me, and I appreciate that. But I have to say there's a huge backlog in assessment of needs assessments and follow-up treatment in the Cavan Monaghan area. Recently, there were 2 additional posts were specifically appointed for Cavan Monaghan occupational therapy and physiotherapy. And recently both clinicians, therapists commenced their employment, and I welcome that. But we want to look at the background in regard to the huge backlog and delays in providing necessary assessments and follow-up treatment for children. And it's only now at the beginning of November that we had the assessment of need assessments commencing for the Cavan Monaghan area. Currently, access for assessment and treatment within the Child Development Team for Cavan Monaghan from date of referral for occupational therapy and physiotherapy is 4 years, 6 months. Speech and language therapy is 10 months, and psychology are only providing treatment to children and young people who are in crisis due to the increasing demands and complexity of current caseload. That's the up-to-date position as at the end of last month from the HSE, and that's very clear that this service is in crisis, and we need extra resources. We need extra therapists, clinicians to provide even a modest level of service to children and to families who are in desperate need of getting those necessary supports for their children. We're very fortunate in Cavan to have Enable Ireland that covers the Cavan Monaghan area, and they have 275 children accessing Enable Ireland services across both counties of Cavan and Monaghan, and a further 162 children are waiting to be assessed. I think those figures paint a very stark picture in regard to the absolute need for a massive improvement in the delivery of assessments and follow-up treatment if it's needed. Minister, I brought you to meet groups previously. You visited the area, and we appreciate your own personal commitment. But we need to have the promises that were made. We need to have them honoured. We need those resources delivered, and we need the clinicians in place, because there are far too many families who are actually desperate in regard to the lack of services being provided for their children. Only recently, in the last few weeks, I have had a number of families on to me telling me that even though they can't afford it, they are now sourcing private services themselves. It's unfair. It's unfair in the first place that the children that need the treatment aren't getting it, and it's further unfair then that you have families with that additional financial burden being put on them, where they're trying to source that private assessments and follow-up treatment because the state is failing to deliver it. So, Minister, there's an urgent need to improve dramatically the services that are available in my own constituency at the present time, and I recognise that there are problems throughout the country elsewhere as well. Thank you, Can Corda.